When has a conspiracy theory actually turned out to be real? Project Sunshine was the government trying to understand the effects of nuclear radiation in the days after World War II. Scientists stole body parts of babies that didn't survive the birthing process. Edit. Here's a quick copy/paste from the wiki. On January 18, 1955, then AEC Commissioner Dr. Willard Libby said that there was insufficient data regarding the effects of fallout due to a lack of human samples, especially samples taken from children, to analyze. Libby was quoted saying, "I don't know how to get them, but I do say that it is a matter of prime importance to get them, and particularly in the young age group." So, human samples are often of prime importance, and if anybody knows how to do a good job of body snatching, they will really be serving their country. This led to over 1,500 samples being gathered, of which only 500 were analyzed. Many of the 1,500 sample cadavers were babies and young children, and were taken from countries from Australia to Europe, often without their parents' consent or knowledge. According to the investigation launched after a British newspaper reported that British scientists had obtained children's bodies from various hospitals and shipped their body parts to the United States, a British mother had said that her stillborn baby's legs were removed by British doctors, and to prevent her from finding out what had happened, she was not allowed to dress the baby for the funeral. What a cheerful name. Secret Operation Baby Body Part Snatcher has a better ring to it. Secret Project Baby Back Ribs was already in use. Is that why the son from Teletubbies is a baby? Operation Midnight Climax had the CIA dosing Johns unbeknownst to them with LSD during MK Ultra. The San Francisco police would sometime arrest these prostitutes who in turn would say they work for George White and be immediately released. George ran the LSD operation and had clearance from the government to essentially be a drug-dealing pimp. Credit where credit is due, but that is the best operation name ever I've heard. The idea that the CIA is spying on you through your phone was tinfoil hat tier as recently as 2009. Person of Interest was pure fiction when it started. I so wish Poi was better developed. They had great material and ended up with a rushed ending. Same with that Steven Spielberg's Alien series, I can't remember the name. It was rumored that the writers had another villain planned after Samaritan, if the show had not been cut short. And I've always wondered what type of villain they would have gone with. Have you watched Enemy of the State? It came out in 1998 and I'm convinced it's written by someone who has or received insider knowledge of all the spying the three-letter agencies do on Americans. Thank you, Edward Snowden. Minnesota Twins turned fans on to prevent opponents' home runs. It's true. They got us all super horny and it made the opposing team hit worse. If everyone will kindly direct their attention to the Jumbotrons. We have a treat for you fans, Pornbub Premium. Does this mean they make their fans cheer loud to distract the other team? Or, arouse them? ETA, you mean mechanical fans. I feel dumb now. The episode of Family Guy where Stewie runs around the mall naked screaming "Help, help, I've just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement." One of my Irish relatives told me that the Irish film industry had known about Spacey way before America did, and that's why he no longer got jobs in Ireland. This is a quote from Irish actor Gabriel Byrne, who worked with him on The Usual Suspects in 1995. I did not know honestly then the extent of his violence. I mean, he was kind of joking that people would say, "That's Kevin," but nobody really understood the depth of his predations. It was only years later that we began to understand that filming was closed down for a particular reason, and that was because of inappropriate sexual behavior by Spacey. Edit. Thank you for the silver. Isn't that because McFarlane knew a lot of the shady crap that was going on and took jabs at some of them? Like he did with Weinstein. Can't source that, however, as I remember reading about it on Reddit and hope someone else might be able to. There's a clip of him I saw once at an award show, possibly the Oscars but I'm not sure, where he's presenting a Best Actress award, and he makes some kind of joke about how the actresses can stop pretending to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein. Or something to that effect, I don't quite remember. He said that while hosting the Oscars in 2013. After Weinstein's downfall, McFarlane that he made that joke because he worked with Jessica Barth and Ted, and Barth told him that Weinstein sexually harassed her. Web link. Dude, or dudette, I knew about Kevin Spacey in 2004 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, from friends of friends who worked in film. If we had rumors back then in our backwater town, you better believe Hollywood knew what was up. I knew several people in the theater community in London, one of whom worked at the Old Vic where Kevin Spacey produced shows in the summer geared towards jump-starting the careers of young artists. He told me they quietly stopped hiring underage boys because Kevin Spacey wouldn't leave them alone, and it was very well known he was a deviant, but it was swept under the rug. This was in 2009. Another good friend of mine was in London a few years later, said within minutes of meeting Spacey, he asked if he could blow my friend, like matter-of-fact style, like asking how the weather was. My friend was of age, but apparently Spacey will F anything that moves, just has a sweet spot for the younglings. MK Ultra and Operation Northwoods. This and the Tuskegee syphilis experiment are the most well-known examples. But there's also in which the US Navy released various pathogens off the shore of San Francisco and deliberately infected nearly 800,000 people. Then there's the time when Basically, the US government has proven time and time again that it views all citizens as test subjects. Web link. Northwoods is so scary. To think that a government could do that to its own people. The CIA is a horrible organization. And at no point has it undergone major reform. There is no reason to believe that the CIA that ran Operation Paperclip and Operation Mockingbird is not the same CIA that got us into the Iraq War and that we still fund today. Epping, thank you for making this point. They never changed. The CIA can classify whatever it wants for, if I recall correctly, up to 75 years, and even longer with special exceptions. Additionally, those with inside knowledge would obviously feel more comfortable talking about his stuff long after they're gone from these positions. The result is that people think, yeah, they did some pretty horrible stuff, but that was back in the day. And to add to your point, the CIA launched just 8 years ago, or possibly earlier, spending about $1 billion a year funding an opposition they knew damn well was dominated by Al-Qaeda and other Sunni Salafist jihadist factions. And just for an bonus, they also knew the risk of an emerging caliphate all the way back in 2012, when that memo first was written. This blows my mind that so many people have just shrugged all this off due to the thinnest, most ridiculous shred of plausible deniability that we didn't mean for those weapons to end up in the hands of Al-Qaeda, alias Jabhat al-Nusra. It's such a blatantly obvious lie. They knew the opposition was dominated by AK, and they kept pumping in cash and weapons, along with Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Egypt and possibly others I'm forgetting about. Where in the F did they think those weapons would end up? Also, this is a repeat of the strategy. Also known as the first time they told us not worry because they were moderate rebels fighting the baddies and would never attack us. Web link. Watergate was originally rumors spread by the Nixon's wife. Project MK Ultra had many people reporting it and none were believed. I still think it's ongoing. Who's to say the CIA only revealed the worthless documents? This is only relevant to my country. We started the war against Bangladesh because we did not want to share our wealth with our other half. Bangladesh started its independence movement only after we began Operation Searchlight, basically a genocidal campaign. Why we thought India would just allow us to use their airspace to do this is beyond me. For a long time in the 70s and 80s, there was a conspiracy theory that the CIA worked with former Nazis, the Mafia, and drug and human traffickers to commit acts of terror in European countries after World War II and then blame it on the communists, as well as to assassinate union organizers and leftist leaders and rig elections against left-wing parties. Still, today, if you said this happened, people will think you're a conspiracy nut. But it's all true. Web link. Operation Condor in South America also, responsible for funding and aiding military dictatorships in almost every country in the South Cone. Still considered conspiracy if you bring it up in my country, even though many documents linking CIA have been brought to light. There's a really good documentary called Citizen Boylston, where they get the US ambassador in Brazil to appear, and he openly speaks about documents he had signed. It's pretty clear they know what was going down here. Web link. The whole government spying on us thing where they take our data. When I was in elementary school, all the nut jobs said that there was no Santa Claus, and it was this whole worldwide collusion by parents, media, stores, legit everyone was in on it. I was like, no way is that possible. And damn if I wasn't just so incorrect. Yeah, nice try. I know Santa is real. He came in my house a couple of weeks ago and borrowed my TVs, Xbox, laptop and bike. Yeah. Santa also came and wrestled my mom. Government back in Vietnam actually was experimenting with soldiers via sneaking doses of LSD into their water supply, along with trying to create super soldiers and spies. Just look up files on the MKUltra. Also, the gay bomb actually was a project. Wow, I wouldn't want liquid crystal displays in my water. They really did turn the frogs gay. They made them actually trans, too. Here's a list of proven conspiracy theories. http://web.archive.org/web/20061026155231/http://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/list_proven_conspiracies. Web link. Look, man, if we wanted to do research the easy way. There was a rumor that the Atari 2600 ET game, one of the reasons for the big video crash, was so horrible that thousands of them were dumped in a landslide. A crew went looking and found them along with many other Atari games. Edit. To clarify, I stated one of the reasons, not the reason or the biggest one. The people that made that game were so dumb. They literally made more game cartridges than there were game systems. The person that actually made the game was effing brilliant. He made something playable and overambitious in 6 weeks. The managers that produced it never actually made more copies than there were systems, but they did that for Pac-Man. Edit. Forgot to mention, he also made Yar's Revenge, which is thought of as one of the best 2600 games out there. Imagine that kind of range. Howard Scott Warshaw. Apparently, he's a psychotherapist now, so good for him, that pays better than computer science. Edit 2. To a deleted comment asking if I've ever watched gameplay of the game because it's bad. I played through the entire game myself. Is it bad? Yes. Is it impossible to understand without a manual/guide? Very much so. Is 6 weeks enough time for development? Absolutely not, especially with the fact it was all handwritten machine code. But the result that came out after those 6 weeks is impressive, given the circumstances. The Manhattan Project. Over 130,000 people were involved, but only a couple dozen knew the purpose of the work they were doing. People wonder how you can keep so many people quiet about a conspiracy, but you often don't have to. Not every worker needs to know the purpose of their work, and even if someone did try to tell, they would probably be denounced as a lunatic. The CIA make AskReddit threads every day, days asking when has a conspiracy theory actually turned out to be real? In order to gauge our understanding and to desensitize us to future conspiracy theories. I finally caught my dog stealing my socks after wondering why they were disappearing. Turns out she was hoarding them under the sofa. She loves you. She conspires to love you. Back in the early 2000s, people who were critical of the motives for the Iraq War were dismissed as conspiracy theorists when oil was brought up. False flag attacks have been successfully carried out many times in history. World War II began with a series of false flag attacks to convince the German people that Poland was attacking them, the most famous of which was an attack on a German radio station where Polish farmers were murdered and dressed up as German radio workers in Gliwice, and an anti-German message was broadcast in Polish to rule the people up. If a German person had spoken out though, they'd be denounced as a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. It would have been like saying Bush did 9/11 on the original 9/11. Every time a convicted criminal claims it's the cops planting evidence, and after serving a decade plus in prison, the cops/prosecutors get busted, evidence comes out, but nobody cares. Reputation and lives of innocent person and their family permanently ruined. Alex Jones had been saying there was an island where politicians and billionaires would go to have sex with underage girls. Turned out to be true, Epstein's Island. Edit: Jones probably wasn't the first one to talk about this, but the island for pedophiles existing should be the focus here, not who's the source. Everyone knew of that island back in the 90s. That wasn't him that brought knowledge. That was him repeating it. The Tuskegee Study. Literally everything the CIA did, does, and will ever do. There was an actual conspiracy by the elite to install a fascist leader in America. It was called the Business Plot. A general named Smedley Butler blew the whistle. Also, before Snowden, it was considered a conspiracy theory to suggest the CIA was tracking everyone and surveilling our online activity. Ever heard of Edward Snowden? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.